All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA playoff video. In this video, we're going to talk about three games from last night. We're going to talk about two eliminations. We're going to talk about one future game seven coming up here very shortly. So if you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. In this video, we're going to talk about the New York Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks, the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Denver Nuggets versus the starless Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, this is probably gonna be a quicker one. Because this first game, this Knicks versus Atlanta game, absolute snore fest. Knicks fans did not snore through this game. Atlanta Hawks fans probably did. Um, where do I start with this Atlanta Hawks Knicks game? Where do I start? Um, well, I think I should lay down some context. The context is this game was over literally in the first quarter, and then it was definitely over in the first half, which was convenient because I didn't have to watch the second half of this game because there was nothing valuable I could gain from watching the Knicks blow out the Atlanta Hawks. So I switched to 76ers versus Celtics, but that'll be for later. Um, the Knicks came out, and I say this very every now and then. The Knicks came out like gangbusters. They're like, all right, we're not letting this go any further. We're gonna beat these guys at home. We're gonna step on them. We're gonna rub it in a little bit. There's gonna be a scuffle at some point during this game, and we're still gonna walk out of here winners. Um, OG Anunoby turned into prime Kawhi Leonard. Just decided to. I think OG's had a really great season overall. But this game was one of those out of body experiences where like you're like, oh my God, OG Anunoby leading scorer for a playoff team, leading scorer in a playoff game. You know, I haven't seen OG Anunoby play basketball like this with such a commanding presence in a long time. Maybe last time was like with the Raptors in that finals championship run where he didn't even play in the finals. He was played a little bit, I believe, in the playoffs at that point. Um, this has been a long time since I've seen this version of OG Anunoby. Maybe even last year, OG Anunoby. Nothing compares to this game for OG Anunoby. 29 points, 11 of 14 from field goal, 4 of 6 from 3, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, no personal fouls, and no turnovers. The perfect game for OG Anunoby. Leading, sounds crazy to say, leading this Knicks team to a dominating victory. And it was so funny because I was watching ESPN after this game. This is like way after. This is like 1 o'clock in the morning, and the ticker came across the bottom, and it was like the New York Knicks dispatch the Atlanta Hawks. Dispatch, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. They did dispatch them, definitely dispatched. Side note: this was not a great game for Karl Anthony Towns. Not consequential that it was a bad game, but I was very happy for Carl that he was having a really good series. Um, this series. And this one, the last game, sort of a stinky game, 12 points. Did not take, took 1 3, didn't make it. Did not take a lot of field goal attempts, had 10 assists and 11 rebounds. So he was out there slinging the rock. 3 steals and 1 block to go along with that. Josh Hart, 14 points, 5 rebounds. Mikal Bridges, 24 points, 5 rebounds. Especially, you know what's so funny? When you don't need Mikal to score, he scores like 20 plus. And then when you need him to score, he has like 5, 8, 10, you know? Jalen Brunson, 17, and everybody on the Knicks got to play in this game essentially off the bench because it was over. Jeremy Shohan played, Pacoma Dadier played, Mohamed Diawara played, Mitchell Robinson obviously played, Ariel Hawkporte played, Jordan Clarkson played, Landry Shamet played, Jose Verrata played, Miles McBride played, Tyler Kolek played. A lot of these guys almost played 10 minutes a game, 10 minutes in this game. Um, the biggest thing though, and the biggest thing that after that happened, I kind of turned off the game and I went to whatever game was next. Mitchell Robinson and Dyson Daniels of the Atlanta Hawks got into it. Somebody was shooting a free throw and Dyson was trying to like swim over um, Mitchell Robinson to get the board, and then like he pulled Mitchell Robinson, and then Mitchell Robinson like shoved him, like did like a mini shoved him away, you know, some just standard stuff. And then like for some reason like Mitchell got really like um, animated, and he pushed Dyson, and then a ref was right there, so the ref like came in and started breaking it up, and like the security had to come out, had to come from the from the bleachers and like come in and just split it up. And the Knicks coaching staff was out there, and the Knicks players that were on the floor were out there. And I don't know if Mitchell Robinson is going to get suspended. I think it's inconsequential if he gets suspended. I mean, they're going to have an extra day of rest. It really doesn't matter. He's going to play the Celtics or the 76ers, so we'll see there. But yeah, that was the last straw for me. I was like, okay, there's a fight. The Knicks are blowing them out. This game's over already. And that was that. Mitchell Robinson and Dyson Daniels both got ejected. Um, and funny enough, the other thing I noticed before I left, watching 1.5 quarters of this game essentially, um, there were a lot of Knicks fans in Atlanta. I don't know how many transplants there are from New York to Atlanta or how like what the number is, but there were a lot of Knicks fans there, and it was loud for Knicks fans. It was loud for the Knicks in general, and the Atlanta fans were sort of. I mean, you get beat in the first quarter, it's gonna be quiet the whole rest of the game. Definitely didn't get your money's worth there, Atlanta fans. So I apologize for that, but yeah. Moving on. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks, and we'll also talk about what's next for them because we like to talk about what's next for the losing teams on this channel. In this game, basically the whole second half of this game was like garbage time for this team, but I'll give you the stats anyway. Jalen Johnson 21 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. CJ McCollum 11, Nikhil Alexander Walker 11. 5 turnovers for Nikhil Alexander Walker as well. Dyson Daniels 3 points, played 15 minutes. Jonathan Kuminga 11 points. Zachary Risachet 8 points. Finally got in the game, Zachary Risachet. And then nothing else notable here. Now, what is next for this Hawks team? Just gut reaction, what's next? I think what's next is you keep building on this group you have. You made the conscious effort midseason to change directions away from Trey Young and Kristaps Porzingis and sort of being a highly competitive team to switching gears to this younger team with a huge upside in Jalen Johnson and Nikhil Alexander Walker and Dyson Daniels hopefully can regain his form next year. Um, and you switch to that sort of timeline. And this is the timeline you're in right now where I'm not saying that they're not going to get past the first round in like the next like 2 3 years, but it's going to take time to mature and the maturation process will happen. Um, the only thing I do sort of worry about when you have teams like this is like, is there too much talent on this team and not enough like positional need? Like, I think we all have our opinions about Aneka Kungwu, right? The starting center for the Atlanta Hawks. I at times through the past year since he's been drafted, since he came out of USC, people assumed he was a five, and then he played some four and he looked really good at the four. And now he's back at the five, and he's not really a five. He's not sized. He doesn't have the tangibles to be a five. He has the athleticism. He has the maybe a little bit of the IQ and the body to do it. Strength wise, not height and length wise, but strength wise. Um, and I would look for a potential upgrade um, over a Neka Kongwu because if I'm looking at this, and Neka Kongwu shoots the three too, so that's something valuable that you probably want to keep in this lineup. You want to have a floor spacing big because Dyson Daniels, even though he had a great year last year, this year was absolutely horrendous. This season was absolutely horrendous for him. His three ball just disappeared. He wasn't a great 3 point shooter to begin with, and he had a couple months there where he was above average, I guess, from three, and this year it was just all bad. You need a floor spacing big if he's not going to be able to shoot. Nikhil Alexander Walker is really hit or miss from three. Jalen Johnson doesn't have it yet in his game. He has everything else: assists, rebounding, getting downhill, you know, getting in transition and all that stuff. But I think you need a floor spacing big. I think as crazy as it sounds, because you had a guy, I think you need a real point guard. CJ McCollum isn't that. CJ McCollum has never been a real point guard. And maybe the answer is Nikhil Alexander Walker or Dyson Daniels at the one, and you just slide everybody down and you just go on the search for a three, and or just look within as well, and maybe you promote Jonathan Kuminga to the starting lineup. I don't necessarily think Jonathan Kuminga and Jalen Johnson play well together necessarily, but in a world where Jonathan Kuminga has his head in the right place, he could probably be a very valuable asset on this team. Even though he's like a worse version of Jalen Johnson, having two Jalen Johnsons doesn't sound like a bad idea. Jonathan Kuminga is indeed in need of a new contract. He does have a player option to extend his contract to next season. I don't think he's going to take that. He's been very adamant when his time with the Warriors that he wanted major money, long term money. And I'm not sure the Atlanta Hawks want to go down that route. There is a world in which I just thought about this. Because there has been some rumblings that Anthony Davis is not going to be on the Washington Wizards next year. I'm not going to play a single game for him. We'll call him disgruntled, right? And one of the teams that was rumored to try to go get Anthony Davis at the trade deadline when Anthony Davis was still in Dallas was Atlanta. So could we see them try to make another run if Anthony Davis is available once again to try to go get their forward slash center guy? I could definitely see that. I don't know what combination of players that would be. Like playing together. Can Jalen, Aneka, and AD play together? Maybe. I don't know, man. That's a big team though. That's a jumbo sized team. I kind of like that. Um, and then they always have this lingering thing of their number one pick, who doesn't feel like a number one pick, Zachary Richachet, um, stinking it up, and Gwen Snyder does not like Zachary Richachet. Barely played the guy second half of the season after the trade deadline. This is the first game he played in the playoffs, I believe, or maybe even the second one. Um, Not great. What do you do with him? Lord knows. But you do have some experienced guys on this team. You have Buddy Hield. You have Gabe Vincent. You have Corey Kispert, who's been in the league a minute now. You also have some young guys on this team. So it's going to be a little bit of a juggling act for this Atlanta Hawks team moving forward. This is definitely a game that you forget. And you say, hey, we made the playoffs. We weren't even supposed to make the playoffs after the trade deadline. We made it. We made some positive steps in the right direction. Everybody got a little bit of experience, especially playing the Knicks and playing in the Garden and playing in that environment. These young guys, that's what they need. And I think overwhelming this series is very positive for me, even if obviously it wasn't the outcome that you wanted. But this game for sure, you throw it away, you wipe it away. You're just like, this game never happened. We can learn stuff from it, but don't linger on this game. Everybody's going to Cancun. That's on this Atlanta Hawks team now, and yeah, that's what's next for them. I don't have a lot of thoughts right now for them because I'm just as shocked as Hawks fans, and I'm not even a Hawks fan. I didn't think they'd get done this dirty. The final score 140 Knicks, 89 Atlanta Hawks. And then for some additional context before we move on, the Knicks had 40 points in the first quarter, and then the Atlanta Hawks had 15 in that same quarter. And then the Knicks did it again in the second quarter, 40 points, and Atlanta only had 21. So there you go. The Atlanta Hawks lose the series. The New York Knicks win the series 4-2, winning the last game yesterday in Atlanta, and they move on to the second round, and they will await the Boston Celtics or the 76ers because the Celtics were unable to close it out in Philadelphia last night. The series is tied 3-3, and you know what that means. That means we're going to Game 7, baby. Game 7. I will say about this 76ers Celtics game, man. I said this. I literally said this when they lost previous to this time. I said you have to be very careful going into Philadelphia because you either have to close it out or you can be right back here in Boston playing a game 7, and that's not what you want. That's absolutely not what you want. And they didn't. They lost this game in, I won't say humiliating fashion, but like demoralizing fashion. Like everything just felt, every shot, everything that the Celtics tried to do that maybe they did right, the 76ers just had an answer for. It was something to watch cuz to be fair, on paper you think these teams are pretty close in like nature, right? But when I think about like them as a whole, right? I prefer Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics head coach, over Nick Nurse. But Nick Nurse, like Joe Mazzulla, is a championship coach, so he has some idea of what he's doing. You look at the stars. You have on the Sixers side Joel Embiid, Paul George, future star VJ Edgecombe. Tyrese Maxey. You have former All Star and Andre Drummond. You have all these pieces, right? You have Kelly Oubre. Um, you have all these things, right? You look at the Celtics, and they really just have Jason Tatum, Derek White, Jalen Brown, Kola Vucevic, Payton Pritchard. So you look at the matchups and you look at like star for star, player for player, it matches up pretty well. But in my mind, the Celtics are better than this Philadelphia 76ers team. And the 76ers have just flipped everything on their heads, everything on their head. And I really, if it couldn't get any worse for the Celtics, the first half was back and forth. And then at some point during the game, Um, I think it was the third or was it the second? I forget. Jason Tatum comes out of the game. It was scheduled he was supposed to come out at that point in the game, but he came out and he you could see he had some lingering calf soreness, right? And it wasn't the calf, it wasn't the Achilles that he got operated on just many months ago. It was the other one. So for those uninitiated, for those who don't know, You know, once you have one injury on one leg, you're not supposed to compensate on the other one. And Jason Tatum's been doing that for the past 2, 3 months now, and it's coming back to haunt him a little bit. And in my mind, I was like, oh, it's the same calf. And then afterwards, I saw the clip again. I was like, oh no, it's a different calf. And he didn't come back in the game at that point. It was over. Jalen Brown, he came back a little bit, I think, but he didn't play that much. And this game was essentially over by the fourth quarter. It was a great effort from the Celtics. I actually no, I shouldn't say that. You should have won this game. You should have won. Actually, no, no, no. You should have won this game. You should have won this game. I get it wasn't a great game for anybody on the Celtics team. I mean, Jason Tatum, 17 points, 6 to 13. He did not look right. Even before the calf thing, he just didn't look right. Just too much. There's a running theme with the Celtics. Too much hero ball. He had like 3 possessions down the floor where he just shot the ball like a normal Jason Tatum shot, but like you could tell it wasn't there. Jalen Brown, 18 points, 7 to 17 from field goal, 2 of 6 from three. Both of them were 2 of 6 from three. Both took less than 10 free throws. Jason Tatum, however, had 11 rebounds. Jalen Brown had 5 turnovers and 4 fouls, so he just didn't have a great game on the offensive end or the defensive end. Um, Derek White 11, Nemezi Keita 4, Sam Hauser 5, and then you got Peyton Pritchard's 14 off the bench, which is nice, but like I'd like that in addition to a Jason Tatum Jalen Brown game. 1 of 8 from three from Peyton Pritchard, and that's where he makes his money is from the three, and he did not make any money last night. Um, what else is there? I, I'm at a loss for words because this Celtics team maybe when you think about it, right? And this is like doubling back, but maybe it and Celtics fans are not gonna like this. Maybe it wasn't as easy as it seemed, when you look at it a couple months ago when you're like Jason Tatum's coming back. We're gonna go to the Eastern Conference Finals at least, and then you draw this Philadelphia team in the first round, and they have everything and then some that probably makes this one of the more difficult series um, they could have had in the first round. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what I said. What my prediction was. I think I had this. I actually no. I think I had the Celtics winning, and I think it was pertinent on Joel Embiid being healthy for the 76ers. And if the 76ers had Joel Embiid, I knew it would be a series. I didn't know it'd be a 7 game series though. And the only positive thing for the Celtics was in that fourth quarter, Joe Mazzulla put the bench guys in. The bench guys being like Luka Garza, Ron Harper Jr., Baylor Shireman, Jordan Walsh, Delano Banton or whatever, Payne Pritchard. He put all those guys in. And they got this game close, and that is why this final score is as close as it is. The Philadelphia 76ers won this game 106 to the Boston Celtics 93. But in that fourth quarter, in those efforts to try to make it close and maybe try to get a little bit of a game going, the bench looked great. The bench is the only thing that looks great, and you're gonna look at some of these numbers and be like, this guy had 2 points, 9 points, 5 points, 3 points, 3 points. They were just trying to chip away. They chipped away as much as they could, and then the 76ers still had some of their starters in, so they got destroyed at some point. But yeah, and then we move on to the 76ers, who had a hell of a game at home. Um, Paul George 23 points, looking like prime Paul George again. The splits weren't great, the percentages weren't great, but you have that. Joel Embiid 19 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Side note about Joel Embiid fell down like it felt like a dozen times, but probably only like 6 or 5 times. And every time he went down, he looked like he was in pain. It looked like his career was over. And then he'd like wave the guys over and they pick him up. But every time he went down, it was like a Shakespeare performance. He was like, ah, my leg, my leg. Okay, I gotta get up. And he got up. It's like he's like activated again, like a sleeper agent. He's activating again. It was actually kind of like I said this about Joel Embiid in every video I've said about this series. Is like I give Joel Embiid a hell of a lot of credit for playing through what he's playing through. He's obviously not 100%. He's probably like 60% in body, um, in his body, right? But mentally and his heart is like 100%. He wants to go out there and play and give this team all that he can. And if all he can give this team is 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists, I think they'll take that. Because you got Tyrese Maxey with 30, VJ Edgecombe with 14, Kelly Oubre with 14. Um, these field goal percentages aren't great, but when it's win or go home, or in this case win or stay home in Philadelphia, um, you just shoot the ball, and they shot the ball and they tried everything they could, and it worked. So shout out to Coach Nick Nurse for out coaching Joe Mazzulla. Shout out the 76ers, because man, did they put on a show and in front of their fans, and that place was loud, man. That place was really loud, and I'm not saying it shook the Boston Celtics, but you could tell like at a certain point like they were just so over being in Philadelphia, and they were like, let's just get back home and try to win this game seven because it's not happening tonight. And as we move on to the last series here, literally the last series, the last game of this next series, the theme of things not going right and things going right for the other team is going to carry through. And I'm going to talk about the Timberwolves versus the Denver Nuggets. I do have some notes here. I do have some notes here about the game, but I really just want to talk about my feelings about this game and this whole series as a whole, and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets, and what went wrong essentially and what went right for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Um, I'm gonna preface this with, if I was a Nuggets coach, a Nuggets player, a Nuggets fan, I would be infuriated, and I would be infuriated to the 10th degree. And I was infuriated as a bystander, as somebody who has no horse in this race, no pun intended. Um, I really didn't care who won. But I sat up here, and you guys can go back and watch it. I sat up here and I said, this Denver Nuggets team is the best Denver Nuggets team Nikola Jokic has had since the championship run they had so long ago now. And I love the combination of players. I love what they did at the trade deadline. I'm just going to read off the players they have and the players they didn't have, obviously, the ones that were injured as well, because that's important to this conversation as well. So you have Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, uh, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, Payne Watson, Aaron Gordon. Payne Watson, Aaron Gordon didn't play this game. Bruce Brown, Tyus Jones, who they got a trade deadline. They have Julian Strouth, who didn't play in this game and maybe not even the series. And I looked at this team at the beginning of the season and I said, this team could go to the finals. This team has a very good chance to run it back. And what they did last year is they lost to the Thunder. I believe that was in the second round. Yeah, the second round. Um, they played the Thunder very well, and the Nuggets did the smart thing and they re-upped. They got stuff that they needed. They got rid of some other pieces that they didn't like, and here we are. And I thought going into these playoffs, this is the first round. This is literally the first round, and I thought, this is not a bad matchup for the Nuggets, but the Timberwolves, they have some like things they need to figure out. They've played each other a bunch. I thought, the Denver Nuggets having a better team would help them. And the team that I prefer would help them in my mind, right? That didn't happen. In some of these games in this series, the Denver Nuggets got absolutely dog walked. They got dog walked, embarrassingly dog walked, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, without everything going for them, without everything, they're missing a majority of their team practically. They're missing Anthony Edwards due to knee injury, will miss multiple weeks. Um, Dante DiVincenzo tears his Achilles, not coming back till next year. Before this game, Ayo Dosunmu, their playoff leading scorer in this first round series, is not on the team. He's on the injury report. He's not playing this game. Sore left calf, right? Not playing. So the Timberwolves roll out a team of Mike Conley starting, old ass Mike Conley, um, Terrence Shannon Jr., Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. And the Nuggets have a chance to send this back to Denver and try to win a game seven. And oh, not a game seven, a game six. What, six? No, game seven. Yeah, game seven. And they absolutely wet the bed. An embarrassing performance from everybody except one guy. And that guy to me, who stood out even the past two games, was Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson wanted this so bad. And you could see it in the way he was playing. He was 5 of 10 from 3, 8 of 15 from field goal, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He was trying to do everything. He had a couple really great shots to keep it close. And even when the Nuggets got within striking distance, if instead of it being like, oh, it's a 6 point lead, it's an 8 point lead for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We only need a couple threes and like a dunk or like a layup or something, right? It felt like it was a 20 point lead. The Nuggets could not get anything going consistently. They'd be like one or two shots would go in, and then the Timberwolves would get a shot down or a foul called on a shot, and they would go to the free throw line and make two more shots. It'd be a 10 point lead again, and like, oh my god! And then they go back down, and the Nuggets go back down, and then they shoot a three, and it goes in, and then we'll go back, and it's back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth, and it was absolutely infuriating. Um, as a bystander in this, but as somebody who thought this Nuggets team was the better team, um, Jokic, this was a I don't want to overreact because that's what everybody's doing on the internet, but I don't want to do it. But I will say, this was a detrimental playoff series for Nikola Jokic's career. Um, really great players don't lose series like this. They go out there, they pull themselves up by their boots or whatever the phrase is, and they win. And then if you lose a game seven, you lose a game seven. There's nothing you can do. But you at least have to get to the game seven. This was I don't want to say this was the worst game of Nikola Jokic's, playoff career. This was one of the most awkward and like baffling games for sure. Cause like he just couldn't he couldn't rebound, didn't rebound. He wasn't rebounding this whole series, but especially in this game, you would expect him to try to rebound at least a little bit more. Nope, didn't rebound at all. 9 rebounds and one offensive board. Yeah, no. He got outworked on the boards by Rudy Gobert. Um, he was trying every trick he could, every trick he knows, and it just didn't go down. And he ended 11 and 19 from field goal and 28 points and 10 assists and four turnovers and five personal fouls. Almost everybody on this starting lineup for the Nuggets had five personal fouls. Um, this was a very for the Nikola Jokic haters. This was a celebration night for them that he lost this game and he played horribly, or visually played horribly. If you look at the box score, it looks kind of all right, but visually, if you watch this game, not a good one. Um, and then you have Jamal Murray 12 points, Christian Braun 3 points, and then you have Tim Hardaway 13. He gave you a little something. Tyus Jones tried to give you something, didn't really give you a whole lot. And then Bruce Brown 1 point. And then again, no Aaron Gordon in this game. No, um, what's the other guy? Payne Watson in this game. And I was not prepared to talk about the Nuggets this early and what's next for them after this loss in X series. But here we are. The Nuggets get bounced in the first round. Um, lose a series 4-2 to the Minnesota Timberwolves in embarrassing fashion. If you thought the Hawks were embarrassed, I think the Denver Nuggets are very embarrassed. And again, I thought last offseason was the perfect offseason for them. I thought they did everything right. I thought they really had a chance to go at the Thunder and wherever it was in the second round again or in the conference finals. And it didn't materialize this season. And um, I say all that to say, how much better can you get as the Nuggets? And we talk about windows a lot on this channel, and we talk about windows opening and windows closing and like gap years and stuff like that, right? Like you take a year off and you're back to being a championship contender again, because your star player got injured or whatever. Um, I am, again, I'm not a Nuggets fan, but I like their team. I like the Jokic. I am afraid that the Nuggets window is closed, and they had their one championship, and that's it. And there's not going to be another one in this era because, again, I list the players that are on this team when healthy. The starting five is amazing. It's one of the best starting fives. That starting five hasn't been healthy, and Nikola Jokic wasn't healthy. Even though they went on that run where they were really good without him. It was Payne Watson, it was Jamal Murray. They were really good without Nikola Jokic. This team in the playoffs, not good. And the first thing I'm going to say, because this is the first thing anybody will jump to, is David Adelman, the coach of this team. I'm good. I'm gonna hand you your papers. You're gone. I no. You got Chris Finch is a really good coach for the Timberwolves. Chris Finch outcoached hundreds of circles on David Adelman, and David Adelman had a really healthy team for like two games in this series, right? And they won those games not because of him, because the team was healthy. And this whole game, it was just pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, dive to the basket, kick it out, rotate the ball, and that stuff works when your team's healthy. That stuff does not work when your team isn't healthy. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Um, and it was actually like infuriating to watch them just do the same thing over and over again. And if you guys remember, when Tyronn Lue was the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it was LeBron was in Cleveland, and there was this like meme. It was like a picture of Tyronn Lue holding up a clipboard, and it said "Get the ball to LeBron," and that was the game plan. That's David Adelman, except on his clipboard it said "Get the ball to Nikola Jokic." That's literally all David Adelman knows how to do. And I know he's a young coach, but listen, buddy, I don't have time for you to be a good coach. I need to win now. Any day now, Nikola Jokic could retire. Any day now. He's expressed no interest to play beyond a certain point. He's expressed no interest to keep playing until he can't play anymore. He wants to retire at a certain point. So you have to treat every year like a go for it year, like a championship run year. And that's what the Nuggets did last offseason. And now they have egg on their face. Um, I gotta say this. I gotta say two things. There are only a couple people that are safe on this Nuggets team, and I sit up here a lot and I say I hate knee jerk reactions. I said it for the Rockets. If they blow up their team, I'm gonna be very upset because it's not the end of the world if you don't win a championship now. It's embarrassing, yes, but you can blame it on a bunch of things. It's not on the team. The team is constructed fine. The main guys are fine on the Rockets. I think some of the main guys on the Denver Nuggets are good, are fine. You can stay. Those guys being Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Cameron Johnson. I'm gonna say something very popular. Christian Brown, you're gone, buddy. You're gone. I hope you enjoyed Denver for the time you were here. You're gone. You did nothing this season. You did nothing this playoffs. Goodbye. Even if I have to attach a pick of my own to get you off the team, I can simply not have you on this team anymore. This was an awful, awful playoff run. Awful. If we go look at his game logs here, played Minnesota however many times. He scored 16 points. He scored above 10 points twice. Had more single digit games than double digit games. Played 20 plus minutes in every game. Um, did not shoot the three ball well. 25%. He made one and took one, so it's 100%. So it probably looks a lot better because of that one game. Um, 25%, 66%, 50%, 33%. Too inconsistent. And I don't. If I have Cameron Johnson and I have Peyton Watson, I don't need you. And Peyton Watson needs to get paid this offseason. I'd rather have Peyton Watson at this point, even though they might fall in the same pitfall that they did with Christian Brown. Paying a guy off one good year might bite them in the ass again, but I'd rather just have the hope that Peyton Watson is going to be at least an iota better than Christian Brown. Um, and then this is the toughest conversation to have because I've been very adamant that this Nuggets team is at its best is at its best when Aaron Gordon's on the floor. Aaron Gordon's a game changer. He's a needle mover, but you can't move any needles when you're not healthy. He's this is two playoff runs in a row where he hasn't been healthy. And the last playoff run was very noble. He could have tore his Achilles because he had a calf injury, right? But he played an amazing game, and I believe they won that game, I think, or were close to winning, I forget. But Aaron Gordon's not getting any better. He's not getting any younger, not getting any healthier. Aaron Gordon's got to go. You got to get you got to maybe you can bait somebody into giving you something for him because he's a needle mover like I think he is. But um, the stuff I saw, it was not great. And I hate that for Aaron Gordon. I really do. But it's the nature of the beast. I have to. My team is predicated on Nikola Jokic, and if I go to Nikola Jokic and he says, "Do not trade Aaron Gordon," I won't. But if he doesn't have an opinion, I'm gonna get him out of there, and we have to get somebody else in the door that's a little bit younger and a little healthier, if we can, or just healthier to begin with. Let's just start with that, and then maybe we can work our way backwards to being younger. Okay. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts about the Nuggets and what is next for them. I'm I thought this team was really great. I thought it was really great, and obviously they had really high hopes. So my advice to them would be get rid of the coach, get a new coach, uh, get rid of Christian Braun because one he sucks, but two his contract is immense. You just got to get him off the team, and then Aaron Gordon is up in the air. I don't know what the future for Aaron Gordon is because he's very impactful still in the playoffs, but man, you got to be healthy. You gotta be healthy, man. Um, Tim Hardaway Jr. can stay. I like Tim Hardaway Jr. on this team. Bruce Brown can stay as well. Bruce Brown's really good, especially in this Nuggets system. And yeah, let's move on to the winners because they deserve some love, man. The Timberwolves. What an amazing run! What an amazing story! This is why we love sports because, and this is why we love the playoffs because anything can happen. In this game, like I said, um, the starting lineup is what it is, and you start to think, who could really step up in this game? Previous before this game, you're thinking who could step up? Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, and then it was neither of those guys. It was freaking Jaden McDaniels and Terrence Shannon Jr. Terrence Shannon Jr. in his first career playoff start drops 24 points and throws a hammer down. You see that on the top left? Throws a hammer down on Nikola Jokic. Throws an absolute hammer down on him, um, ending the game with 24 points. Kind of been a bit of a scuffle with Jokic as well, but they both only got technicals, so that's fine. Jaden McDaniels, leading scorer for this team, who I've been high on all season. I've said when Jaden McDaniels scores like he does, he looks really good, and then when he defends like he does, he looks even better. This was that game. This was that game where I was like, this is everything I've seen from Jaden McDaniels over the past 2 years, encompassing in one game. The getting under the opposite team's skin, the defensive IQ, the defensive moments, just like critical moments where he got stops, and then the scoring. It was 13 for 25, not great. 1 of 4 from 3, not great. But he had 32 points in a game where they need to win to advance to the next series. And the next series is going to be what it's going to be. We'll talk about that in a minute, but this was an all-time performance for Jay McDaniels. Um, to go along with those points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Um, Terrence Shannon also had 6 rebounds, 2 steals. Jay McDaniels had 2 steals. And the rest of the team, Julius Randle coming up with 18. Rudy Gobert, 10 points, 13 rebounds. Mike Conley, 7.6 rebounds. Naz Reid, 15 points. Um, they didn't need anybody else. They had who they had, and they went out there and they kicked some ass. Um, I will say for this Minnesota Timberwolves team, though, they got everything going their way. It was one of those playoff games where if you're a Nuggets fan, you just shake your head and be like, we just can't win. We're not going to win this game. It's over. Because, like, when the Timberwolves would tip the ball out, it would just roll to another Timberwolves player. When the ball went out of bounds, it just miraculously touched the Nuggets. When if they had a putback, it was a putback by a Timberwolves player. Everything, it's just the little small, even just like the tiniest, smallest things, were going right for the Timberwolves team. And as I like to say in the playoffs, and as a bunch of people have said, the playoffs are basically 50%, well, 40% having a really good team, and the other percent just luck, just dumb luck. And this was one of those dumb luck games. Not to take anything away from their win, but you watch this game, you know what I saw, and I know what you saw, and it was like, well, that's it for the Nuggets. Nothing's gonna happen for them. Um, I'm looking over my notes here, see if there's anything I missed because I was just rambling there. The different lineup combinations for the Timberwolves were great. Just running who they had out there, and they were like, "Well, just go out there and hoop." Great. Cam Johnson, like we talked about for the Nuggets, great start, great stuff for him. Jaden McDaniels, high moment of his career perhaps here. The Nuggets were awful from the 3 point line. That's also why they lost this game. Just truly awful from the 3 point line. Um, and I have this note here. Some very concerning things for the Nuggets. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, some very concerning things. And then the note right after that is Nuggets in shambles, can't do anything right. That pretty much sums it up right there. They couldn't do anything right. Um, Despite the struggles, the Nuggets still have it in reach. This is when they got really close, and I talked about them going back and forth, and it felt like a 20-point lead when it was only an 8-point lead for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Um, and I have two notes here that are very funny. Um, I said this game is going to come down to some stops, a ref review, or a foul, or in the worst case, more madness. And um, none of those things were the case. It was just the Timberwolves were better. They were better last night. They were better. And in the dying moments of this game and of the Nuggets season, Nikola Jokic got a rebound or drove down. I forget which one it was. Drove down into the paint, right? He had to kick it out. And he had to kick it out to Spencer Jones. Lord Almighty. I know Spencer Jones had a really good game in the game previous. He didn't have it this game, and that pretty much just sums up this Nuggets season where, like, I thought, like, if Nikola Jokic had anybody else standing in that spot, they would have drained that shot. But it just had to be Cam Spencer, the guy who's subbing in for an injured starter. And you're like, golly, this is just sums up their series where the season and the series where it's just like Nikola Jokic has it. He's about to throw it to somebody he usually throws it to, and they're a really great high percentage 3 point shooter, and it's Spencer Jones now. God, man, God. But yeah, that's it. Let's talk about where everybody stands in the playoff bracket. Because I haven't done that in a while. I've been meaning to do it, and then we'll get out of here. Starting in the West, the Thunder beat the Suns 4-0. They sweep them. They are awaiting the winner of Lakers Rockets. Lakers lead the series 3-2, so presumably the Lakers will win this and will play the Thunder in the next round. And then on the bottom side of that side of the bracket, the Nuggets lose to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves advance, winning the series 4-2. Below them, the Spurs beat the Trailblazers 4-1 to advance to the semis, and the Timberwolves and Spurs will meet in that series coming up here in a little bit. Um, like I said in my other video, I much would have preferred Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs versus Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. But now we get sort of a stinky semi-series where the injured Timberwolves are going to maybe perhaps get swept by the Spurs. I'm joking. They're probably not going to get swept, but it's going to be ugly. Because Rudy Gobert versus Victor Wembanyama. Even though in the season series, I believe the Timberwolves were 2-1. They won the season series 2-1. Victor might have been injured, or it was weird. So yeah, Thunder are awaiting the winner of the other matchup, and we have a confirmed Timberwolves versus Spurs in the next round of the Western Conference semifinals. Moving on to the East. East is a lot more interesting than the West. We have the Pistons and the Magic going at it on the top side of the bracket. Orlando leads the series 3-2. Whoever wins there will advance to either play the Cavaliers or the Raptors. And right now, currently, the Cavaliers lead the Raptors 3-2. So we'll see if any of these series will extend, or we will get presumably a Pistons or an Orlando Magic versus Cavaliers matchup, which would be insane. I think that would be really interesting to say the least. And then here on the bottom side of the Eastern Conference bracket, we have the New York Knicks advancing, beating the Atlanta Hawks again in embarrassing fashion, winning the series 4-2, advancing to the semis, and they are awaiting the winner of Game 7, Celtics versus Sixers, series tied 3-3. This is the first time since 1970 that the Celtics and 76ers will have a Game 7. Can you believe that? Since 1970. Oh, yeah, 1970. I presume 1970 because that's what I saw, yeah. Crazy. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. It's been a while. It's been a wild playoff run so far. We will see what happens with tonight, Friday, and then tomorrow, Saturday. Hopefully, a lot of these series will conclude so I can make a video and it won't be too long for you guys. You guys will get a video regardless of what happens in the NBA playoffs because I have a WNBA video coming out. Hopefully, if nothing changes, I'm still waiting, but hopefully, you guys will get that video on Saturday, so you guys have something to digest. If you like WNBA content, you can watch that video. I'm very proud of that video, and I think it came out very well. So it's pre-recorded, it's already done. So I'm just waiting, see if anything changes with it before I put it out. So you guys will get that. If you guys don't want to watch WNBA content, if you guys don't want to watch WNBA content, you can always check out the playlist on the right. The outro should be playing right now, or you can check out the video on the left. Or if you just want to, subscribe and, stay tuned for the next playoff video that I do, the little icon in the middle, you can hit that and a little subscribe will pop up and you can subscribe with ease. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like and comment as well. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.